Yeah, you tuned into the right place. Welcome to the rain. Golden Queuing. H2.0. Yeah. You're looking for a diamond, found a treasure in the rough. Tired of all the noise, cause you finally had enough. I'm here to build a movement on a mission for the nation. Dropping gems of knowledge, killing all the hesitation. We fighting for the truth, yeah, we fighting for what's right. Building unity and shining up a brand new light. It's a variety channel, but the vision's crystal clear. Pushing us all forward, conquering the doubt and fear.
Welcome to the Queendom, it's 2.0 on your screen, where the content's real and smart and funny in between. This is more than just a stream, it's a platform for the change. Time to elevate the game and rearrange. If you're ready for a vibe that you can feel and trust, joining in the movement is a definite must.
This ain't just another channel talking smack behind the screen. It's a spotlight for the creators, building up a better scene. Spreading radical love, that's the message in the code. Helping everybody carry up a heavy load. From social justice issues to the laughter that we need. Planting seeds of progress, watch them grow from just a seed. This is authentic, this is raw, this is everything you saw. Welcome to the battle that is truly being fought.
Ooh, so come with your respect and see the real effect. Cause I protect my own right here on the throne. Don't make me envy. Unleash the dragon.
Subscribe, ring that notification bell. Yeah, you don't wanna miss a thing. Welcome to the family. Yeah.
He who dwells in the secret place of the Most High shall abide under the shadow of the Almighty. I will say of the Lord, He is my refuge and my fortress, my God. In Him I will trust. Surely He shall deliver you from the snare of the fowler and from the perilous pestilence. He shall cover you with His feathers, and under His wings you shall take refuge. His truth shall be your shield and buckler. You shall not be afraid of the terror by night, nor of the arrow that flies by day, nor of the pestilence that walks in darkness, nor of the destruction that lays waste at noonday. 1,000 may fall at your side, and 10,000 at your right hand, but it shall not come near you. Only with your eyes shall you look and see the reward of the wicked. Because you have made the Lord, who is my refuge, even the Most High, your dwelling place, no evil shall befall you, nor shall any plague come near your dwelling, for He shall give His angels charge over you, to keep you in all your ways. In their hands they shall bear you up, lest you dash your foot against a stone. You shall tread upon the lion and the cobra, the young lion and the serpent you shall trample underfoot. Because He has set His love upon me, therefore I will deliver him. I will set him on high, because he has known my name. He shall call upon me, and I will answer him. I will be with him in trouble. I will deliver him and honor him. With long life I will satisfy him and show him my salvation.
It's quiet now, but the stones still cry underneath the shadow of a cold gray sky. A mother's heart torn from the light, another candle burning through the Minneapolis night. They're weaving stories, but the spirit knows Oh, let the incense of our prayers rise through the smoke of the city and the government lies. Justice is a mountain, Lord, it's a heavy road. We're just tired children carrying the light. Sleeping power, Lord, catch us when we fall.
What's up, y'all? It's your girl Golden. I'm back with another live. We got a few more things to get into, per usual. Every day, it seems like it is something new, isn't it? But we are having a beautiful and blessed day, and I hope you guys are as well. It is about 1:15 p.m. here Eastern Time in the Carolinas, in the United States. And so I hope you guys are having a great day, respectively, in whatever time zone you are on, whether it's morning, noon, night, or afternoon. I'm sorry, or evening. But yeah, we got a few things we're gonna get into, y'all. So y'all, as you can see, we're gonna be talking about some things around Jasmine Crockett. We'll be talking about some things around JD Vance, and we're also gonna be talking about the mayor of Minneapolis. That he's been really speaking out in the way that I would. But let me give y'all a brief synopsis, okay, what we'll be watching. And per usual, we have some audio and some videos to show you. So we will be monitoring a very intense and rapidly developing situation today. We're looking at a community at a major turning point regarding federal immigration enforcement. Within the last 48 hours, we've seen a tragic loss of life in Minneapolis, a heated confrontation in DC hearing, and a tense exchange between the White House press corps and the vice president. Our top story involves the investigation into the passing of 37-year-old Renee Good, a U.S. citizen and legal observer who was fatally struck by a federal agent rounds in South Minneapolis. While the administration is describing this as a defensive action, local leaders, including Mayor Jacob Frey, shout out to him, are strongly disputing this account. He held a press conference expressing total disbelief in the official story and has called for federal agents to leave the city. We're going to look at the witness video that appears to show the vehicle moving away from the area when said rounds were discharged. Also, there is more tension, in Minneapolis. It escalated further when federal agents arrived on the campus of Roosevelt High School during dismissal. Eyewitnesses describe a chaotic scene where agents physically engaged with school personnel and deployed chemical deterrents towards students and bystanders. We have reports of educators being detained while simply trying to protect their students on school property. One official described the behavior of the agents as completely unrestrained. This situation has become so volatile that Minneapolis public schools have paused all classes for the rest of the week due to safety concerns. And also, we'll be getting into the video of Jasmine Crockett, okay? A fallout from a House hearing where Representative Jasmine Crockett challenged the use of such aggressive tactics. In a very emotional moment, she spoke out against the state-authorized loss of life of a mother on American soil. She questioned the credibility of the witness brought in and highlighted what she called to be a double standard in how these federal operations are being justified to the public. And in final, we will get and take a look into a recent briefing where Vice President J.D. Vance had an incredibly combative exchange with a reporter. Instead of addressing the specific discrepancies in the unaliving video or the actions at the high school, he expressed deep frustration and suggested the public should be thanking those involved in the operation. We're going to analyze the administration's shift towards this defensive tone as local opposition continues to grow. We're breaking down the footage and the latest updates throughout the hour. Come join the conversation and meet me in the chat. Do you feel these tactics are about public safety, or are they creating distrust in the communities? Let's get into the details. So per usual, y'all know I have videos to show y'all. And so the first video that I'm gonna go ahead and play for you guys is a video that was sent to me, and it's very interesting. So this is CBC News, and it's self-defense, the breakdown of the fatal pow-powing in Minneapolis. We're gonna go and listen to some professionals tell us exactly what it looked like and what happened based off of their tactical skills and knowledge, okay? So I know I did report on and speak on some of this yesterday and what I thought I saw and how I thought it went down. But let's hear from the professionals and see exactly what they have to say. Let's go ahead and get into it.
An officer shoots and kills a woman in Minneapolis, 37-year-old Renee Good. It's disturbing, but it's critical to understanding how the law will handle those who enforce it. And really, it boils down to about 3 seconds and 3 shots fired. The driver of an SUV reverses, pulls forward, and the agent in harm's way shoots and kills. These crucial moments, and very possibly this video in particular, the clearest I've yet to see, form much of the basis of the official government account of what happened. That the driver was a violent rioter who weaponized her vehicle in an attempt to kill, and that the ICE officer, fearing for his life, fired defensive shots. Within hours of the incident, Donald Trump would agree with that version of events, saying the driver of the SUV violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer, while also claiming the officer seems to have shot her in self-defense.
This vehicle was used to hit this officer. It was used as a weapon, and the officer feels as though his life was in jeopardy.
I'm going to take you frame by frame through what we know from video evidence, expert opinion, and hard rules on the use of force, all of which could be used to determine whether this was indeed self-defense or something else.
Don't let the murderer leave! We want the murderer of Renee Nicole Good to be brought to justice.
According According to the Department of Homeland Security, ICE agents were carrying out a quote-unquote targeted operation in Minneapolis, and the official account is that civilians were trying to block them in. Video of the shooting about to unfold appears to support this, with this dark red SUV blocking the road, and these are ICE agents approaching the driver's side. We can see from this other angle, the SUV is actually parked here for some period of time. This man right here is the officer who within moments you will see drawing his gun. He's filming the car, walking around it, then disappears out of frame. Back to the other angle. The armed hooded agents approach, ordering the driver blocking their way to get out of the car. You can see here the reverse lights go on. Just a split second before, this ICE agent puts his hand on the door handle. He's going to try to open that door, but it's locked. No! The voice we're hearing there is of a bystander. What we can't hear is the driver herself. That's a key piece of evidence we're missing, because when weighing the totality of what's happened, the apparent fight or flight of the driver absolutely factors in.
That can include verbal cues, facial tics, whatever you're seeing. Someone has a look in their eye, you need to get in there, interview the officers who are right there, interview the officer himself involved in the shooting, get a better understanding of what it was he was seeing and what led him to believe that this posed such an imminent danger.
No! Now, if we pause the video again right here, a whole series of things are about to happen in rapid succession, and I'll break them down one by one. First, you'll notice the reverse lights are off. The car's back in drive, and for the briefest of moments, at a complete stop. Second, the agent who just tried to open the driver's side door has now reached inside the vehicle itself. But third, and most importantly, we now see a third ICE officer emerge. This is the one we saw earlier, filming the vehicle circling around it. He's in front of the vehicle now, and he's drawing his gun.
There's no restriction about when you can take your weapon out of your holster or not, but normally it's when you feel like you are a potential threat. For instance, if you're engaged in an arrest, you have your weapon out in most cases during an arrest.
It's as the vehicle starts to accelerate forward, turning to the right, away from the officer with the gun, he fires 3 distinct shots. The driver immediately loses control of the vehicle. Seconds later, it crashes hard into a parked vehicle on the side of the road. And we learn later, the driver's dead.
Oh my God! What the? What the?
So knowing how the altercation ends, let's play that video out once again without stopping and starting. Then we'll consider whether this supports or discredits the Trump administration version of events.
No! No! Shame! Shame!
In considering the federal narrative of what happened, let's go from easy to hard. Recall the story told by the President of the United States that the driver of the SUV violently, willfully, and viciously ran over the ICE officer. It is incorrect to say the ICE officer was run over, because he wasn't. He's on his feet in front of the vehicle as the driver hits the gas. He appears to almost jump out of the way, and by the time he's firing his second and third shots, he's clear of the vehicle's path. He's still standing, even as the driver loses control. And within seconds, he's walking towards the car after it's crashed. What we can't be sure of at this point is whether he was actually clipped by the car. Trump's account is that the officer took time to recover in hospital, and he offered this video as proof that the officer was indeed hit. From this angle, it does seem possible that he was, but it's not conclusive. The video is so grainy, and honestly, it's hard to tell whether the compression of the zoom is just making it look like he was hit or whether he was actually hit. Going back to this angle, it's still not totally clear to me whether he was or wasn't. It's hard to tell if he's pushed back by the car or he's simply jumping back out of the way. In any case, the real legal question at hand isn't actually so much about whether the officer was run over. It's whether he was justified in shooting and killing the driver.
As he was crossing in front of a vehicle, which the training says you shouldn't do that. You shouldn't cross in front of a vehicle.
And whether the training was followed is one thing to consider. This policy directive from the Department of Homeland Security states DHS law enforcement officers should avoid intentionally and unreasonably placing themselves in positions in which they have no alternative to using deadly force. Translation: if you truly believe the subject you're dealing with is a violent and dangerous rioter, it is not standard procedure to then step in front of the vehicle that they're driving. But what about when the situation turns deadly?
What I see is very clear. I see somebody not listening to law enforcement, backing up, accelerating right into an ICE agent. What do you see?
What I see is a vehicle being used as a deadly force weapon. And that, in my opinion, based on my training, deadly force is justified.
ICE has its own handbook, its own principles governing the use of force. And here's the entry on deadly force, which stipulates it may only be used in situations when an officer has probable cause that the detainee poses an imminent danger of death or serious physical injury to the officer or to another person. But importantly, deadly force may not be used solely to prevent the escape of a fleeing suspect. So let's look again at the clearest video we have. The operative question here, which really only a thorough investigation is going to be able to answer: was this driver fleeing from ICE agents or actually trying to run one over? And importantly, whether it was reasonable for the officer to think it was the latter.
The officer cannot read the mind of the driver. He only sees the vehicle coming towards him, accelerating towards him, and he is in the pathway. And so the evaluation is, given these circumstances, what would a reasonable officer do in that circumstance?
What makes cases like this really difficult is that you're going to hear fierce opinion from both sides. One attorney, as on Fox News, saying this:
you know, you can freeze frame it, you can go forward a frame. Oh, here she seems to turn to the right. The bottom line is that agent had about a quarter of a second to make a decision. And when he made that decision, that car was accelerating towards him.
But then another attorney, obviously a Democrat, saying the opposite, calling Trump's explanation pure gaslighting.
What I can tell you is the narrative that this was just done in self-defense is a garbage narrative. That is bullshit. This was an agent recklessly using power that resulted in somebody dying.
Originally, the state of Minnesota, led by Democratic Governor Tim Walz, says it asked to be part of the investigation into this deadly shooting. But now, the federal attorney's office says they're off the case. The FBI, headed by Trump appointee Kash Patel, is the sole investigative authority on this matter.
All right, y'all. So that was the first part of our video, the first video that I wanted to show y'all and stand, a bit corrected when it comes to us watching these videos and analyzing, the play out of how it could have went, what was actually happening. I know when I spoke yesterday on one of my lives, I basically was saying, some things that were inaccurate, but what I did agree with is that I did not say that SUV was trying to roll over or attack that ICE agent with said vehicle in any type of way. After what played out, and we've seen that now on multiple platforms and multiple different videos, even though it is very hard to watch, this is what we have. We have half of the people saying it's self-defense. We have half of the people saying that it wasn't, in my personal opinion, I don't think it was self-defense. I think at any point in time that something cruel and something bad was going to happen to that woman regardless. That's just my personal feelings, what I feel deep down in my spirit and my soul. We have seen it played out more times than not now when it comes to not just detention of certain individuals because of race, because of their profile. And now we have ICE that is at the extreme level of doing this and actually has legal backing to do it, right? And so, they can do whatever it is they decide to do when it comes to individuals that they see they want to get rid of. That's just how I feel personally, that's my opinion on it. It's not fact and it's not reporting. But that video did give us a lot of more insight, and we did hear from an actual professional when it comes to analyzing these type of things, as far as how everything played out, how it looked on camera. What do y'all think? Y'all let me know. Do you think that what side are you on? Was that person trying to defend their life and their safety by taking shots at that woman in the SUV? Or do you feel as though that woman in the SUV was just simply fleeing away from ICE agents that probably meant no good for her anyway? Well, the question's up in the air, y'all. It's up to everyone to decide what they think and they feel. But anyway, let's go ahead and get into this next video, which is also tied into this topic, because Jasmine Crockett had a lot to say, and I love this woman. I really, really do. She makes me proud. And she did have a lot to say when it came to this event. And so this is a reporting from Roland Martin platform. But we'll go on to hear from Jasmine Crockett as far as what she thinks about how this day was.
Things got very emotional on Capitol Hill today. Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett really challenged Republicans on this issue and said so many folks, Democrats, were disturbed by this woman being gunned down, and Republican response is pretty much callous and indifferent.
It is so hard to sit here sometimes, because I didn't come to Congress to write laws or to do things that are hurting people. I'm just asking if there's any decency or heart or courage on that side of the aisle. The fact that a woman was killed, she was shot in her head, and y'all are pretending like nothing happened. I remember when Charlie Kirk got killed. Do you remember what our response was? Our response wasn't to sit there and pretend like it was okay. Is it okay because you have a badge? Because the last time I checked, allegedly no one is above the law. Can y'all not just have a little bit of courage and humanity? A child has lost her mom. And y'all want to pretend that it is okay. I am asking if there is anyone that will stand for the very people that elected us and sent us to Congress. You tell us things like, well, the immigrants are bad, and so we got to get all these bills because the immigrants are the ones that are causing the harm, they're bringing the crime. The mayor of Minneapolis told y'all to get the fuck out. Yet y'all are the ones, it is this administration that is bringing crime to their streets. That's what's happening.
It's the third incident where somebody has dropped an F-bomb in this committee, including the video.
I'm sorry.
Including the video that we had to watch earlier.
Are your princess ears okay?
Is it profanity?
Well,
the committee's ears
House of Representatives.
The committee.
You are about the fact that a woman.
Are you
House of Representatives.
The gentlelady.
Are we offending your princess ears? Are they that soft?
All members will.
Maybe some of the kids out there.
Mr. Chairman, it is the gentlelady's
You're killing
time.
them.
Kids.
It is the gentlelady's time. Let's let her have her time. It is the gentlelady's time. Would you stop the clock for a moment? Okay, and I'll restore that. The chair will remind all members that the person controlling the time is not to be unreasonably interrupted. We would further admonish that whenever possible to express the full meaning of something, it be done so without an expletive that may be offensive to people here in the audience or those who watch this on television. I understand that a quote at times is essential, but I would admonish everyone that it has been the practice of this committee for the many years I've been here to use such things as F-bomb in order to get the message out without actually using the word. Notwithstanding that, the gentlelady, if will be recognized for this time plus an additional 20 seconds, the gentlelady may continue.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Long story short, we are sitting in judiciary and no one on that side of the aisle seems to care that this particular person, whose name we don't know at this point, became the judge, jury, and executioner. I don't know how you square that. And then we're sitting here literally in markup for a bail funds bill. When I first ran for office, it was in the midst of yet another lynching by law enforcement in Minneapolis. At that time, it was George Floyd. I remember working as a pro bono criminal defense attorney to help protesters that were being arrested. There were more than 600 protesters that were arrested in Dallas. There were churches that came together to make sure that there were bail funds. There were nonprofit organizations. And to explain how it works for bail, since we're in judiciary and we're writing the laws, and some people may not understand this, but those bail funds, those nonprofit organizations are not the ones that determine whether or not somebody gets bail. What they do is they help out poor people, which I know y'all are not interested in either, but they help out people that aren't rich and famous and have limitless amounts of money, like all of the Epstein defendants who somehow y'all can't find, even though y'all went and got Maduro. But it helps out those people to be able to get out of jail. Many of those people that if they spend just a couple of days in jail will then be thrust into straight up poverty because they will lose everything. Why it is that you want to criminalize people such as churches that are trying to help the poor because they understand what the Bible says, and they don't just say that they understand it or say that they love Jesus, but they decide that they actually put it into works because faith without works is dead. That is wrong too. And I'm here to tell you that there's going to be a lot of nonprofit organizations that are going to step up in this moment, because there are going to be protests around this entire country because of the state-sanctioned execution that we all saw unfold, unless there is some kind of justice that takes place and we get the name of that officer and that officer is prosecuted. So I ask that law enforcement, we have oversight over them. I am the oversight ranker. Let's go ahead. In fact, I make a motion that we have a hearing in the oversight subcommittee as it relates to this particular issue and what took place.
House Councilwoman Jasmine Crockett. This has angered so many different people in so many different ways. And former Minnesota Governor Jesse Ventura is weighing in, saying he is so pissed off with what's going on that he actually may run again for governor. And he had a lot to say to Donald Trump. Check this out.
No audio.
All right, so I got to again having some slight audio issues. I'll fix that. But Ventura, he called Trump a rich white boy and said we're living in a third world country. So I have that video for you in just a second. I want to bring in my panel right now. No, they can't wait to weigh in, and so let me welcome to the show, as we always do on Thursdays, Dr. Greg Carr, Department of Afro-American Studies, Howard University. Glad to have Greg back, first time in 2026. Greg, good to see you. Reese Colbert, host of the Reese Colbert Show, Sirius XM Radio. Glad to have you on the show as well. Dr. Nola Haynes, of course, Georgetown University School of International School of Foreign Service. Glad to have all three of y'all here. Let me start with you, Reese. It's been a whole lot that's been going on. It's just been literally crazy what has been happening. And just as Adam said, the lies have been coming just full tilt from these wackos in this administration. But that's what they do. They're following the liar in chief. He lies, they lie, and they say, what the hell? And MAG is so dumb, they believe the lies.
Well, yeah, I mean, they want us to believe in alternate reality. And what they should really do is be embarrassed. We know that this administration has no shame, but typically you would hear measured responses out of DHS, out of the White House. If you didn't have degenerates running the country, you have Beavis and Butthead, Ren and Stimpy, and I can't even think of an insult for Kristi Noem. She's just the bitch. And so you have these people of very low moral character who are essentially saying that white lives don't matter. Because this was a white woman who was a US citizen who was gunned down by a person who has zero jurisdiction over US citizens. ICE is not law enforcement. And that is something that I want every single Democrat to repeat. And that is something that I want the media to make very, very clear. ICE is not law enforcement. ICE is immigration enforcement. Immigration enforcement does not have jurisdiction over American citizens. They do not have jurisdiction to dictate a traffic stop. They do not have jurisdiction to pull somebody out of their vehicle. And they for fuck sure do not have jurisdiction or immunity to shoot a woman in the head as she's driving away. This ICE agent escalated the situation by stepping in front of the vehicle, by physically trying to
in the
know that ICE is not welcome in this city and in this state. And lastly, we're here to demand justice for Renee Good.
My name is Aisha Gomez. I serve as the state representative for District 62A, south side of Minneapolis, where our beloved community member was murdered this week. I'm so grateful to Councilmember Chavez for explaining this moment to us and calling on us as a community into this struggle that our neighbors are facing. With respect to the investigation into this shooting, there's really only one question in front of us. Are we going to design a process that's legitimate or not? In 2020, the state legislature created the Force Investigations Unit after the murder of George Floyd, which happened right around the corner, 7 or 8 blocks away from where Renee Good was murdered. This unit was established after a long process of looking into what are the best practices when there is an officer-involved shooting. We learned a lot about this in 2020 in Minneapolis, unfortunately. One of the things that we learned is that if you actually are interested in public safety, if you actually are interested in the legitimacy of a law enforcement force in your community, then you must be invested in accountability, in transparency, and in fair investigations when bad things happen.
That's right.
And so that's the question in front of us. Do we want a legitimate investigation that pulls in the professionals of the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension who are trained to do this, who have done this over and over, who have the kind of local connections and local legitimacy that the FBI could just never have because they don't have that kind of presence here? Or are we going to have a discredited farce of an investigation? And so as a group of elected representatives who are deeply invested in the safety of our community, and thus in the legitimacy of these processes, we call on the FBI to share the evidence with the Force Investigations Unit at the BCA and have this be a legitimate and trusted investigation. Thank you.
I'm Hennepin County Commissioner Irene Fernando, but you can call me Commish. I use she, her pronouns, and I'm a very, very proud child of immigrants. I'm the youngest woman to ever serve on the Hennepin County Board. I'm the first Filipino American elected in the state, and I'm Hennepin's first board chair of color in our 174-year history. My heart is grieving for Renee and her family. This is an unimaginable and preventable loss. I honor Renee's humanity and life, and I acknowledge the deep pain felt by her loved ones and neighbors. The taxpayer-funded actions and harm we are experiencing right now are inhumane, unlawful, and unconstitutional. United States due process means that justice is pursued through legal action, credible investigation, and courts, not through guns, murder, and violence on our streets. There's jarring footage that show ICE agents stage at elementary school bus stops and going door to door. Often agents are unwilling to provide a badge number, a warrant, or any legal documentation. This is a terrifying reality for Minnesotans since we are still grieving Speaker Hortman's assassination due to the impersonation of a police officer at her doorstep. Our community has experienced the national spotlight with law enforcement shootings, which required significant change and reform on how such cases are examined, investigated, and communicated to the public. It is critical for our communities to have some sense of trust in the process in order to meet the standards set by Minnesota law and resident expectations. This is why we're calling on the federal government to cooperate with a joint or independent investigation conducted by the Minnesota Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. The thought is that they would do this together, but if for some reason that is not possible, please allow shared evidence for a parallel investigation. The Minnesota BCA is the only nonpartisan state agency equipped to investigate robustly and effectively, in part due to their establishment of the Force Investigations Unit. They have the expertise, they are equipped, and they are ready to pursue justice on behalf of Minnesotans. Alongside their own investigation, the BCA, alongside the federal investigation, the BCA can and should conduct this parallel process, which means full access to the information, evidence, and case file. Because in Minnesota, we expect that investigations are completed by the BCA to then get reviewed by the county attorney to determine if the use of force was appropriate or not. We have a process here to review force. We have full trust in this process and in the county attorney to do the objective review needed based on the facts and Minnesota law. The idea that our federal government would not fully cooperate with the BCA in an investigation creates even more mistrust among our community members because we know federal investigations are very rarely released to the public. Our justice system, and we are here together to ask for and request full cooperation by the FBI and the U.S. Attorney's Office to provide full access to the BCA so they can conduct a thorough, complete, and independent investigation to determine if the use of force was justified or requires additional accountability. Last and certainly not least, just directly to residents, our neighbors, our friends, our family members, our coworkers, our kids. I am very, very proud of our unrelenting courage, compassionate caregiving, and a fierce resilience towards justice. It feels very hopeful and very fearful, but together we can and must resist the urge to give in to the numbness that comes from this type of attention.
So what do y'all think about this? You know, we're watching this stuff play out. And this is the one thing that I like to say, and I won't say too much, but what I like to say is a lot of people turn a blind eye. They do not care. They don't tap into, listen to, or have any empathy or feelings as to, you know, things that are going on in other states, in other cities where they don't reside. And I think the biggest problem when it comes to that is you must keep in mind, you never know when it's going to come to your state or your front door. Would you like any of this to happen to your aunts, to any of your cousins, to your sisters, and whoever else, right? That you may care about, you yourself, right? You wouldn't want this type of outcome to happen to you because what? You were just living, you were speaking up and standing for what's right. And it ends in a fatality to where now your children don't have you anymore. This woman no longer is with her children. Her children don't have a mother anymore. And this is because of this administration and how they decide to put groups together to roll out on immigration. Where's the immigration? Right? And not even to say that any of that is necessary, but I'm just saying, even if we use their own rhetoric and their own talking points, if this is ICE and ICE is supposed to be wrangling up or doing whatever it is they're doing to immigrants, is she an immigrant? Was she an immigrant? And I like the fact that the community and people are coming out and speaking out on this case. I do. And I think we should, no matter what race and nationality of the person, right? And there's some comments I have, but I'll hold those comments for another time. This is not the time for them. However, I'm just saying, you know, we see these things playing out and happening day after day, year after year, time after time. When is enough enough? When do we see the severity of the situation and realize that this stuff cannot continue to go on? When do we fight against it? Whether we are just bringing it to the awareness of people, taking to the streets and protest, trying to find ways within our own career spaces to make a difference when it comes to this. There's people that work in the legal system. There are people that are judges and that are lawyers. There are people that are officers, like police officers and captains and agents, all of these things, right? When do you decide that right is right and wrong is wrong? Do you just go along and get along because that's what they want you to do? I'm just kind of really confused when it comes to us speaking up and speaking out about what's right and wrong. Why are so many people fearful to speak up against what's wrong? Why are you scared? Are you scared that your job is going to be taken? Are you scared that your paycheck is going to be taken? Because guess what? It can get taken either way. It don't have to be because you're speaking up for what's wrong and what's right. They'll take it from you whenever they want to take it from you. I wish people would stop living in fear to talk and to speak. And I know that there are systems and things put in place that try to silence us so we do not talk and we don't speak. We don't bring these things up and bring them to the light and have conversations about them. But guess what? There's people that fight against that tooth and nail. And it's not an easy fight at all. Trust me, I know. But these things need to be discussed and brought to the forefront because it's not right. And when the shoe is on the other foot and the ball is in your court and it's happening to you, you will want somebody to talk about it. So I like to see people talking and taking to the podiums in the streets, protesting against these things that are happening because they are, like you said, Imani, very terrible. And if we allow these things to fly and just keep continuing to turn a blind eye, it will never change. It'll never stop because we're complacent. Let's stop being so complacent with things that are not right. Let's start standing up and speaking up for the truth, for things that are not right, fighting against it in each and every way that we can. Anyway, let's keep going. After this video, we'll get into a quick song break, and I just got 2 more and I'm going to show y'all, okay?
Because numbing our pain might also numb our shared humanity. And it is only through the collective wisdom in our bodies and ancestral storylines that we will get through to the other side of this. Together, we come from powerful, loving, and resourceful stories. Our cultures and ancestors have found ways to construct creativity from pain, joy from fear, and hope from oppression, and we will do so again today. Ultimately, I do believe that our shared humanity and love for one another will prevail, but that only occurs when we all rise with one another. Leading with integrity, caring for one another with dignity, and fighting for our shared humanity without an apology. I and we remain in this fight with you, speaking our truths and leading towards accountability and justice. Thank you.
Good morning, everybody. I am State Senator Zaida Mohammed. I think I speak on all of my colleagues, especially colleagues in the Senate, when I say we are here on behalf of Renee Nicole Good, a beloved wife, mom, daughter, and neighbor who was needlessly and brutally taken from us in Minneapolis streets on Wednesday morning. That night, thousands of us gathered at the site to grieve the loss and to mourn Renee and to rally for justice. Everything I have learned about Renee, about her humanity and compassion, tells me she would have been there with us, speaking truth to power and turning pain into poetry. This federal government has given us too many reasons to not trust them to do the right thing. There are thousands of agents were sent here under a false pretense in the minutes after an agent, and the minutes after an agent's shot, they refused to render aid. And their leaders have used every opportunity since this tragedy to lie about the facts, to lie about Renee, and to blame her for her own murder. There were many witnesses to Renee's murder, and the horrific videos we have seen make us all witnesses. This was a crime in broad daylight, and the attempt to cover it up is another. Renee is owed the same rights we promised to every American: due process, respect, and truth. We know what we saw, and everything short of a full and an honest investigation is an insult to her memory. Everything she stood for, and everything we stand for as Americans. At 10 o'clock today, we will honor the life and legacy of Renee Nicole Good with a moment of silence. Every moment before that and every moment after that, we will honor Renee by remembering our neighbor and calling for justice at the top of our lungs. And with that, we will take questions.
Yeah. Yesterday, I heard in New York, the Homeland Security Secretary was actually asked specifically about the information sharing and the ability for locals to take some sort of investigative role here. And her answer was basically, well, they refused to investigate illegal immigration, so why should we? I guess I'm wondering if that continues to be the answer to public pressure. Are there legal remedies at the city, state, county attorney level that would allow but it's investigation.
Right. So the question stemmed from an answer from a press conference that happened in New York City just yesterday, where it was asked, what is the general process for doing this? Are there legal remedies that are available at the city, county, state level, et cetera, where we would have the ability to move forward with either some form of investigation or prosecution? First, there is some precedent that is important here. There have been instances in the past where there was some form of shooting or an officer-involved killing that took place by federal agents or U.S. Marshals or beyond that did have local and state entities in control. By the way, we're not even talking just about full control here. We're talking about being at the table. We're talking about an investigation that includes the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. And for those that may say that we have a predetermined outcome, we are not the ones that are conducting the investigation. The investigation would be conducted by the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension. They are well equipped to do it. They have a long track record of doing thorough investigations and, by the way, coming to results that both saw culpability and a lack thereof. As far as the legal mechanism to do so, I'm not going to jump the gun here and give you a mechanism to prosecute through the county or the state before we actually know what that legal remedy looks like. But I can assure you there is potential there that is available. Go here and there.
We've also been saying, over the end of the weekend, what do you think the administration say ICE operations will continue? There's a border patrol agents in. They're actually doubling down.
Well, I think what this does ultimately is expose the truth. What did they say when they came in here? What has this administration stated as their reason for coming into cities around the country? The reason that they've stated, safety, driving down crime. Well, let our statistics speak for the trajectory. They are clearly driving crime up. Up until last night, we hadn't had any shootings in this city other than ICE. Our city is safe. Our city is welcoming. They are making it less so. And so it is a massive issue that they continue to exert their presence in Minneapolis and beyond. By the way, it's not just our city that is feeling the impact. I know that there are a number of legislators behind me that can speak to that. This administration has also said that they're very pro-business. That's also garbage. I don't have a specific statistic other than anecdotal evidence to point to, but they have had a massive and detrimental impact on a number of corridors throughout our city, including like 80% reductions in customer base along East Lake Street and many other corridors throughout the city. And so bad for business, bad for safety, bad for unity, bad for democracy, and bad for this republic. We want them out. Let's go over here and then go over there. So the question is, if there's no full independent investigation of this shooting, what will the effect be? I mean, I think it further undermines trust in government. The quickest way that you erode trust in government is to refuse to enforce and hold accountable people on laws that you pass. There are laws that are around this. There are standards that are around this. They should have no concern about having a full and transparent investigation here. See where that investigation leads. Look at the facts, collect the evidence. And the fact that they are for some reason concerned about having other, by the way, police involved, other law enforcement involved through the BCA, that is wildly concerning. We're not asking to be at the table in this investigation here. We do think that people that have some willingness to see things clearly are. Well, I think we got to get to a point here where we're not trusting everything that they're saying, and I think you guys they're there at this point. I mean, I think he also asserted that because you work at the federal government, that you somehow have absolute immunity from committing crimes. That's not true in any law school in America, whether it's Yale or Villanova or anywhere else. That's not true. If you break the law, if you do things that are outside the range, outside the area of what your job responsibilities require, and this clearly seems to be at the very least, this is great. At the most is what you heard people say back here. This is a problem and it should be investigated. Yes.
A couple questions for you. First, have you heard personally anything from the Trump administration or the president himself? And also, the administration has pointed to some of your comments right after the shooting as turning up the temperature in this city. Yesterday, we did see some protests that, turned volatile at times. There was pepper spray, there was tear gas. Do you stand by your statements to telling ICE?
Yeah, they stand by their statements. Do you stand by your statements? Yes. I stand by my statements. We stand by our statements. I'll look back to what I said. What I said was it was reckless abuse of power. Yes, it was a reckless abuse of power. I said that what the narrative that the administration was pushing in the immediacy following this shooting was garbage and false and BS. It was. I stand by every one of those. And, this notion of inflammatory comments, I mean, come on, guys. I dropped an F-bomb. They killed somebody. Which one of those is more inflammatory? I'm going with the killing somebody. I'm going to do a couple more, and then I'm sure there's some other people behind me too. Yeah.
It's clear that Renee Good is not just trying to get this officer, but she actually ran him over. JD Vance has promised this officer absolute immunity in this case. Is there any hope?
Yeah, that seems, the way you put it, it's pretty grim. What you just said, and I think to repeat for everybody, Donald Trump said that Renee ran the ICE agent over. Don't take my word for it. Don't take their word for it. Watch the video from every single angle. I mean, the ICE agent walked away with a hip injury that he might as well have gotten from closing a refrigerator door with his hips. He was not injured. I've seen worse injuries from doing that. And so give me a break. No, he was not ran over. He walked out of there with a hop in his step. And so we just got to get to the point where we're at least operating from, hey, this is like, we're looking at it on the video screen. This is what we're seeing. Can we all see that it wasn't run over? And then, JD Vance, this concept of absolute immunity is pretty bizarre.
How concerning is that?
Very concerning. It's extremely concerning. That's why we're asking for the BCA to be part of the investigation.
We have time for about 2 more questions. Does someone have a question for someone?
We did.
Do you want to answer that? I don't know the exact timeline, but I imagine the answer is yes.
Senator Minneapolis representative, there have been instances in the past where the FBI has shared information weeks after or even months after. It would be much better if the Bureau of Criminal Apprehension were able to be involved right now. There is time-sensitive evidence. There are memory lapses that happen if you aren't able to interview witnesses right away. And so they were invited by the FBI to participate in the investigation jointly originally. And then for some reason, they decided to walk away. We are asking for their full participation as the FBI intended originally. They were clearly told by somebody that they couldn't participate anymore. And when you have the President of the United States, the Vice President, the FBI Director of Homeland Security on the ground, that they can no longer be involved with local investigators. That causes a lot of concern. And to us, time is important, but they should be involved in the investigation at any time that they're allowed to be.
So the question is whether I can talk or describe about interactions with Ms. Good and who she was as a person. It would be completely inappropriate for me to do so because there are other people that really knew her, and I did not.
Thanks, everyone. Appreciate it.
Thanks, everybody. Yeah.
Okay, thank you.
All right, you have been listening to a news conference with Minnesota officials at the state, county, and city level, including Minneapolis Mayor Jacob Frey. Their main message here urging the Department of Justice to reverse its decision to allow a joint investigation into Wednesday's fatal ICE shooting, to allow Minnesota's Bureau of Criminal Apprehension to be at the table. Mayor Frey saying the BCA has consistently run investigations like this before. There's a precedent for it in the past, and that it's not a, quote, radical way out there group. Just a few days ago, just yesterday actually, Homeland Security Secretary Kristi Noem was asked about this very issue. She said that Minnesota is a train wreck right now, and she says that Minnesota has no jurisdiction when it comes to this investigation.
We also have an update for you out of Portland, Oregon. The Department of Homeland Security just released images that we're about to show you on your screen. It shows two of the individuals right here. These are the two who were shot and injured by a border agent while in their vehicle yesterday afternoon. In a post to X, the department identified them as, quote, criminal illegal aliens from Venezuela, adding that the driver who was there is suspected member of Tren de Aragua gang and that the passenger is associated with the gang. They included further details about each of them, but it's not clear where those details came from.
The Trump administration.
All right, y'all. So we'll get into some of those reports on the next live. It starts to just kind of, go into some different reports, but we want to keep it the same. But speaking of JD Vance, I wanted to go ahead and share with you guys a bit of what he had to say. And this is our VP of the United States. Oh, God, I hate to say that. But anyway, this is where we're at. This is what he has to say. Let's go ahead and get into this video.
Take some questions, but I want to make just one final observation here. When I was actually walking out here, somebody sent me a photo of a CNN headline about what happened in Minneapolis. And this is the headline. I'm just going to read it. Outrage after ICE officer kills U.S. citizen in Minneapolis. Well, that's one way to put it, and that is the way that many people in the corporate media have put this attack over the last 24 hours. And I say attack very, very intentionally, because this was an attack on federal law enforcement. This was an attack on law and order. This was an attack on the American people. The way that the media, by and large, has reported this story has been an absolute disgrace, and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago.
All right, y'all, I want y'all to pay close attention and listen to the rest of what he got to say. Now, you heard just right there. Now, I'm going to rewind it back for y'all. We're talking about 6 months ago. That's what came out of his mouth. And that's what we'll rewind back to, that portion of what he has to say. And as far as defense as to how this woman lost her life, why she lost her life. We're talking about 6 months ago, or are we talking about the current day? Make it make sense for me, because it doesn't. Let's go back just a little bit. Let's hear. This is how they gaslight and tap dance around serious issues that they don't want to take accountability for. They come up with any type of sad sob story they can possibly can to distract people from the truth. And you think that us now having the technology that y'all sell us and put in our hands, as far as cell phones and devices of these extents, taking videos for ourselves or being citizens on that street, watching it all play out with our own two eyes, not me, but citizens that live there. You want to tell us this is your excuse? This is what you say? Okay, keep going.
and it puts our law enforcement officers at risk every single day. What that headline leaves out is the fact that that very ICE officer nearly had his life ended, dragged by a car 6 months ago, 33 stitches in his leg. So you think maybe he's a little bit sensitive about somebody ramming?
Excuse me, what? He's sensitive about somebody ramming him? Okay, he's sensitive. All right. Maybe somebody did try to run him over with a car. I can't be sure about that. I'll have to look into it and find out for you guys to bring it to you. Even if you did, sir, still doesn't give you the right to take a life. Because even with the law enforcement, right, when you have proper training, and there's even problems when it comes to police officers when it comes to this. With the proper training, if you want to dismantle someone or stop someone or halt someone, you don't necessarily give them a headshot now, do you? I think a headshot is like the most ghastly of all of the shots you probably could get when it comes to a pow weapon, right? And you give this woman a headshot because you think you're going to be ran over by a vehicle that you jumped in front of. Are we clear here about what happened? Because the lady was in her vehicle trying to get away from y'all, knowing that it probably will end up like this, because this is how these people act and behave. And you decided you want to stand in front of said vehicle and take a headshot. Let's be very clear about that, because the reports have come out. The lady was shot in the head. Let's just be clear about it. We can't talk about the truth. We got to speak in code. I'm sick of all of this. I am, because it leaves no room for justice, proper justice. Proper justice comes from truth, and truth is what it is. And we're supposed to sit up here and feel bad because this man probably had some type of level of PTSD because he almost was ran over by a vehicle before. I cross the street all the time. I've almost been ran over by a vehicle. I'm not out here taking headshots, period. You're not going to sit up here and gaslight the American people or the people of this country, period, as if we are stupid and we're dumb. How dare you? That makes me mad when people play on my intelligence. I'm not going to let it happen, and y'all shouldn't let it happen either. You're not going to sit up here and lie to us like this or try to pull on people's heartstrings. We supposed to feel bad for him. Well, even if he did and he got a crooked whip and he got to take whatever, ibuprofen, I don't know. He still got his life now, don't he? That woman ain't got her life, and her children don't have a mother. You think that's supposed to be the same? Stop it. These people need to stop it.
Him with an automobile. What that headline leaves out is that that woman was there to interfere with a legitimate law enforcement operation in the United States of America. What that headline leaves out is that that woman is part of a broader left-wing network to attack, to dox, to assault, and to make it impossible for our ICE officers to do their job. If the media wants to tell the truth, they ought to tell the truth that a group of left-wing radicals have been working tirelessly, sometimes using domestic terror techniques to try to make it impossible for the President of the United States to do what the American people elected him to do, which is enforce our immigration laws. The President stands with ICE. I stand with ICE. We stand with all of our law enforcement officers. And part of that is recognizing that you people in the media, not everybody in this room, but many people in this room have been lying about this attack. She was trying to ram this guy with her car. He shot back. He defended himself.
Lies. That man was to the left of the vehicle and she was steering to the right. He chased it down. He jumped in front of that vehicle, and we know what happened after that. Lies. Stop lying. We're sick of y'all lying to us. Like we're stupid. It's lies. Lies.
He's already been seriously wounded in law enforcement operations before, and everybody who's been repeating the lie that this is some innocent woman who was out for a drive in Minneapolis when a law enforcement officer shot at her, you should be ashamed of yourselves. Every single one of you. Questions?
Based off of reports, if y'all actually asked the real information, the lady was just coming back from dropping her kids off to school. And these people, these ICE people, rolled up in the neighborhood, in the community. And yeah, she probably spoke up and fought back, verbally, for the injustices that are being served at the hands of this ICE situation, which many of us do. Does that warrant us to no longer be here? Apparently, y'all think so. So I don't care if she held marches, meetings, any type of speeches, or anything when it comes to the wrongness of this ICE operation and how they've been treating people. I think that's the right thing to do. And because people do that, if you feel so, they need to be what? Unalived and pout down in their vehicles because they disagree and they speaking up on what's right. Does that set the precedent of how we all get treated when we speak about what's right? Exactly, Imani. She was dropping her child off to school. She was coming back from dropping her child off to school. And guess what? Thank God she got that far, right? And was able to drop that said child off to school. Because Lord knows if the child would be here. Based off of how these people move and operate. What if that child was in the vehicle? Don't nobody want to talk about that. But you want to tell me about 6 months ago, this ICE officer almost got ran over by a vehicle. Well, apparently he wasn't properly trained. Because just like Imani said, you should not be stepping in front of vehicles if you're following your proper training. How you almost get ran down? Probably did the same thing last time around. Jumping yourself in front of a vehicle to be hateful and stop somebody after they're trying to get away and flee away from you. And these individuals who are fleeing are most likely citizens and don't deserve to be ran down by you. But y'all do it anyway. And it ends up in a fatality. Y'all gonna stop lying to our face like this.
We all deserve.
Let's keep on. I don't mean to be so, emotional when it comes to this, but I do not agree with these.
President, I wanted to read a quote from Tim Walz earlier today. He said, "When things looked bleak, it was Minnesota's first that held the line for the nation on July 3rd, 1863, and I think we may be in that moment now." Can you comment on his rhetoric and Mayor Jacob Frey and whether they want to see unrest in Minneapolis?
Well, that's very tough rhetoric from a guy who just quit because his fraudulent activities have been uncovered. Look, Tim Walz is a joke. His entire administration has been a joke. The idea that he's some sort of freedom fighter, he's not. He's a guy who has enabled fraud and maybe, in fact, has participated in fraud. That's what this new assistant attorney general position is going to find out. I don't care what Tim Walz says.
And what type of fighter are you? Do you fight for what's right or do you not? Because just as we know, if you sitting up here kicking and screaming and fighting and supporting ICE, right? Thank you, Imani, so much. This is the truth of the matter. Do you understand that your own very wife could be one of the persons on the opposite side of one of those ICE attacks? I guess if ICE wasn't informed that she's your wife. But if she was just a willy-nilly person out here just living her life regularly, she would be targeted and attacked by your own administration's regime. How can you sit up here and even say anything when it comes to ICE and immigration? How can you? How dare you? And you think that us as American people or people in this world, period, don't see the hypocrisy of your whole existence? Sir, do better, please. Because I don't get it. It don't make not one lick of sense to me. You're okay with this. What if that was your wife in that SUV? How would you feel then? Would you be sitting up here on this podium making all of these excuses and these speeches the way you do? Don't think you would. Then again, can't be sure. Can't be sure when it comes to these people.
I care about getting to the bottom of this fraud for the American people, and I care about enforcing the nation's immigration laws. That's what we're going to stay focused on.
Not a related question here. I mean, Democrats have accused ICE of murder. They've said they're targeting Americans. They've told ICE to get the F out of Minnesota. This is going to stoke the fire against ICE agents. And we're talking about ICE agents right now, being concerned about them. What, if anything, is the administration going to do to make sure these folks are protected during these protests? But also, should DHS sort of revisit their procedures here? I mean, nobody wants to see an American killed. Are there changes that need to be made to make sure something like this doesn't happen again?
But first of all, of course, nobody wants an American citizen to be killed. This is absolutely a tragedy, but it's a tragedy of the making of the far left. They have radicalized a very small.
Shut up. Now it's supposed to be political. Shut up. You just shut it right up. Shut up. Okay? I'm really getting sick of this. I don't know if y'all are, but I am. You just shut it right up. Now, all of a sudden, it's a far left issue. No, y'all voted for this. Y'all are the ones who stand by this happening. And now, what are you going to do? Huh? Outside of lying through your, excuse my language, through your teeth. What are you going to do? Because you put this in position, right? This ICE order organization, whoever the heck they are, in position to come after what? Black and brown people y'all think don't belong in this country, people who are immigrants. And now what has happened? An innocent white woman that is a citizen of this country was gunned down by ICE. How do you clean that up? Oh, I know. Blame it on the lefts. Blame it on the Dems. That's what y'all always do when y'all come into some type of issue that y'all created. Y'all want to place the blame on the other side. Shut up. Shut it right up. I don't know why these reporters don't tell these people to shut up when they sitting in the stage. That's why I couldn't be a reporter or any of the sort when it comes to politics. I have to report on it the way I report on it over here. And Lord knows that's a struggle to do. But I say it and I do it the way I do it because I tell the truth. Shut up. You're lying. You're going to blame it on them. No, this is all y'all. This is y'all and y'all side. Y'all put this in place. And now what you got? Some mess. Some mess on your doorstep, on your plate that you're going to have to clean up and lie your way out of. Child, I should play the Christina video. I couldn't believe that lie she sat up there and told, and actually believed the lie she was telling. Y'all people are sick, and we're sick of you.
Segment of the population taught them that ICE agents are engaging in wide-scale violation of people's rights. What our ICE officers are doing is deporting the millions of criminal aliens that were let in during the Biden administration. So number one, we have to say, as a matter of leadership, and I would appreciate if the Democrats would join me on this, let's be honest about the fact that we have way too many illegal aliens in this country. Our ICE officers should be supported in doing their job. You're trying to actually marshal the far left lunatic fringe to engage in doxing, to try to make it impossible for them to enforce the law, and in some cases actually to engage in acts of domestic terrorism against our law enforcement officers. When you talk about different plans, different protocols, different policies, I forget exactly how you asked the question. Here's the simple fact. What we're going to do is make it easier for the American People's Administration to enforce the American People's law. And that means that Democrats have to stop rallying the mob against legitimate law enforcement operations. And that means that we are going to get tougher. And that's what this AAG position is about. We're going to get tougher at the people who are defrauding the United States by inciting violence against our law enforcement officers. That's one of the things that we're going to do. We've already started that work at the Department of Justice. We're going to keep on doing it. And this new AAG position is going to kick that into high.
So basically, lay it down and take it and don't fight back. These people, a lot of these people that have been attacked, a lot of these people that have been contained, they are citizens of the country. This group of ICE is running down on anybody and everybody because of how they look. Let's be clear. It is a racial profiling and prejudice at its finest. If they look the part, they don't belong here and you want to get them out of here. You don't know who someone is. And then I've seen multiple reports now of individuals that have been approached by ICE that have their papers and that can show and prove that they are citizens of this country. And ICE doesn't want to see their paperwork. They don't want to see it. They tell them they don't need to see it because they want to hurt and harm them and contain them anyway. They know what they want to do, and they know why they want to do it. And they think that we're stupid. We sit back watching all of this play out, and we don't know what it really comes from. Stop it. Stop it. You will not lie to us anymore. And there's many people, many a platform, many of voices speaking out to tell the truth about what it really is. That's what y'all don't like. They fight against it. They're not scared of you. They know exactly what you come here to do. It's nasty work. It is. Anyway, let me calm down. Let's keep going.
Gear.
Vice President Vance, you just suggested that this woman who was killed, Renee Good, is part of a broader left-wing network. Who do you think is behind this broader left-wing network?
Oh,
Doctor told me I needed to eat healthier to lower my A1C and naturally boost my.
Here they come, y'all, with the lies.
I have to figure out, but here's the way that I put it. When somebody throws a brick at an ICE agent or somebody tries to run over an ICE agent, who paid for the brick? And who told protesters to show up and engage in violent activity against our law enforcement officers? You see, just with this most recent terrible incident in Minneapolis, you see friends of this woman's or other people who are eyewitnesses saying basically that she was there to engage in obstruction of a legitimate law enforcement operation. How did she get there? How did she learn about this? There's an entire network, and frankly, some of the media are participating in it.
Are we kidding? Are we kidding? Are we kidding? So we have eyewitnesses who know this lady, right? They live in the neighborhood. This is their community. This is where they live. She lives there. They live there. Y'all don't belong there. How are you to tell this woman that she don't belong where she's at in her neighborhood, in her community? Y'all come into people's neighborhoods and communities, and y'all think that people do not have partnership within their neighborhoods and their communities. Like, what are you talking about? And even if it's in a certain mile radius, maybe it's not necessarily right in front of her home, but it's in her neighborhood and her community. You saying that she doesn't belong there? No, y'all don't belong there. ICE doesn't belong there. And like the mayor of the state and the city said, get out. We don't want you here. Leave. Get out. Period. Don't come in here wreaking havoc over people in their neighborhoods and their communities that have not done anything to you. They're not posing a threat to you. Let people be. Y'all running down in people's neighborhoods and communities. That's what y'all are doing. So who is the outsider? But now this woman, this is her neighborhood and her community. And now she's an outsider that is supposedly wreaking havoc and being some type of spokesperson to fight against what? Fight against what needs to be fought against. The evil and the darkness that you are bringing with these groups of ICE, with this administration that you have. A lot of people don't care for it. I'm telling you, for real. A lot of citizens do not care for this at all. Some are more brave than others and will speak up and stand up when it comes to it. Some of them might be scared, and that's okay. It's a, we don't blame or we don't pass any shame to anyone who is, maybe they just can't risk talking against or speaking against because they have a lot to lose. But the people who are willing to step up on the front lines and speak against it and fight against it, I think, leave them alone. You're just mad that they're speaking the truth and showing the truth, and y'all don't like that. So y'all have to silence the truth, don't you? Anyway, we have to take a quick song break. After this song break, we will finish this live. We got a few more things to get into because apparently now ICE is targeting high schools, y'all. So hide your kids, hide your wives, basically. because they're going everywhere. And now they're attacking high school campuses. We'll get into that video in just a minute. Let's go ahead and play this song.
It started in the Windy City, yeah, they did the blitz. Bovino and his boys throwing legitimate fits. Tear gas in the streets, snatching folks in the dark. Now they packed up the vans and they left the park. They moving state to state like a traveling circus. But the clowns got badges and they doing it on purpose. They left Illinois, headed straight for the south. Now the taste of fear is in everybody's mouth. They skipping the border, yeah, they deep in the core. Knocking on the Queen City front door. It ain't just ICE, it's the Border Patrol. In the non-border state, yeah, they losing control. They moving state to state, watch out. They hopping town to town, hanging town to town. They was in Chicago, now they in the jagged crown. North Carolina, lock the door and close the blinds. They hunting for the people that the system left behind. From the Midwest to the dirty South here. Yeah, they flooding the street. Now they parked on South Boulevard, setting up the web, Operation Charlotte's Web. Yeah, the flow in the air. Dante arrested in the first couple days, stalking Central Avenue in the violent haze. They wearing green uniforms, looking like the army, trying to tell the locals, no, we ain't gonna harm your lives. They snatching workers at the gas station pump, leaving families crying over a political bump. They bragging on X, posting pics like a trophy. Why the mama warrior sipping tea but no coffee? We wide awake, we see the tactic is clear. Use a surge to manufacture the fear. I'm Chicago, we heard you, Charlotte. We fighting New Orleans. Are you losing? They say you're next on the list. They heading to the bayou. Get your cameras ready. Get your cameras ready. Get your lawyers ready. Your caravan of nasty work is coming your way. Stay in the state, watch out. They hopping town to town. Town to town. They was in Chicago, now they in the jagged crown. North Carolina, lock the door and close the blinds. They hunting for the people that the system left behind. From the Midwest to the dirty South here. Yeah, they flooding the street. The knock comes in every language. The boot is the same on any soil. They draw lines on maps. They lack surprise when hearts refuse to be divided. This isn't a new story. It's just our turn to write the ending. Hey, same black dance from Santiago up to Syria. Same algorithms of hate creating mass hysteria. It's a global franchise, the oppression is syndicated. Borders drawn in boardrooms by men who've never waited in a line for bread or fled a home that's burning bright. They selling fear as virtue in the pale moonlight. Dehumanize the target, make them stats on a spreadsheet, so you don't see the soul when they dragged out in the street. It's the neo-colonial, the digital plantation. Use the laws like whips to break the back of every nation. Cold-hearted, the tactic is corporate, the hatred is faceless. A global Leviathan believing empty spaces, but people united will never be vanquished. Cold-hearted, history's watching from all of us places. We know the system and all of its faces. The people united will never be vanquished. Master of Columbus in the mining corporations. Hear the echoes of old empires in the peacekeeping stations. From the Congo to the Amazon, the scars are still pigmented. They call the planet up and wonder why the world's fragmented. Drew a line through Africa, a line through Palestine. Now they build a concrete wall and say that side ain't fine. It's the same old story, profit over people. The steeple on the church is just as tall as the evil. They want our rhythm, our culture, our spice and our labor, but want us silent and grateful when we ask to be your neighbor. This is ice, cold-hearted. This is ice, cold-hearted. The tactic is corporate, the hatred is faceless. A global Leviathan leaving empty spaces, but people united will never be vanquished. Ice, cold-hearted. History's watching from all of our places. We know the system and all of its faces. The people united will never be vanquished. What is a home? Is it the dirt beneath your feet? Or the rhythm of a heart that makes you
All right, y'all. So we took a quick song break and let's get into the next video. I had to just bypass, a lot of what JD Vance had to say because I really couldn't stomach any more of it. But let's move on to another report, a very important report. So ICE is now attacking high schools where, possibly your kids, your students may go. Okay. This is the reality of the situation, okay? And a lot of students have a lot to say. They're speaking up, they're protesting as well, as they should, because in this country of the United States, we do have freedom of speech. And so we get to say what we think and we feel about the things that are going on in the country around us. And to target and attack high school students in such a brutal manner, I don't know. Y'all let me know what y'all think about this. So let's go ahead and get into this report. I'm going to play the video, meet y'all in the chat per usual.
They would do anything to change the approach the Department of Homeland Security is taking in Minnesota, you would be wrong. Shortly after an ICE agent shot and killed 37-year-old Renee Good in her car, masked armed Border Patrol agents, led by the so-called head of CBP, a man named Craig Bavino, entered the grounds of Roosevelt High School in Minneapolis during dismissal time. They began tackling people, handcuffed 2 staff members, and fired pepper spray at bystanders, according to Minnesota Public Radio. Some of these bystanders captured real-time disturbing video.
Oh! That was a grenade!
Guys, don't antagonize them. They literally just killed someone.
Don't antagonize them. They literally just killed someone. After that raid, Minneapolis schools canceled classes for the rest of the week because nobody wants their kids to be a target. Of course, that leaves the parents of Minneapolis having to arrange childcare for an entire school district. One Roosevelt High School official spoke anonymously to NPR about how ICE conducted himself at that school. They don't care. They're just animals. I've never seen people behave like this. Senator Richard Blumenthal's Democrat from Connecticut. He's been investigating the use of force by ICE officers since last August, and he joins me now. It's good to have you here.
Thank you.
The Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, which you're on, did an investigation. It released a report in December on the use of force and the kind of reckless dragnet that ICE has undertaken, NCBP. You say that the Trump administration is seeking to build a nationwide paramilitary force with vast resources that lawlessly detains citizens based on its own whims, an effort which is a number of unfortunate and obvious historical parallels. How do you think what we've seen in Minneapolis in the last 24, 48 hours fits in with that?
What happened in Minneapolis was preventable and predictable based on what we found in our report, interviewing 22 victims of this kind of escalating indefensible violence, which involves U.S. citizens being detained, being dragged from cars, being injured and denied medical care, being denied access to relatives, is an example of the lawlessness and recklessness we're seeing on the part of ICE. And what we're seeing now, which you just showed in that video, smacks of a cover-up. If the top officials of our government were really interested in the truth, they wouldn't be prejudging the investigation. They would support an independent, objective investigation, which is what I've called for, with state and local police.
Do you think that jurisdictionally, your former Attorney General of the state of Connecticut, jurisdictionally that that local police, local law enforcement, state or local have jurisdiction here, should be able to investigate this?
Of course they do. And in fact, as a former federal prosecutor, as well as a state attorney general, federal FBI and other law enforcement should be welcoming local and state police. They have resources, expertise. They know the community. They have trust in the community. They were on the scene first, local police, to secure the crime scene and collect evidence. So what is happening here in real time definitely smacks of a cover-up. and I think will just further undermine the credibility of whatever investigation is done. And the kinds of errors, legal errors, that are being articulated by top officials, like this issue of no jurisdiction, or the vice president saying there's absolute immunity, which is absolutely wrong, I think really betrays what they are supposed to be doing.
Then what about the moment when you actually realize that you're not here?
We have seen DHS, whether CBP, ICE, HSI, or others, conduct themselves in a way that seems, for lack of a better phrase, kind of post-constitutional. And I think the conviction they have is that the constitutional protections that American citizens enjoy are not enjoyed by people who are not American citizens, and certainly not enjoyed by people here outside of authorized status. Of course, it's a fuzzy area in terms of what the Supreme Court says about that. But even today, the vice president said they were going door to door. And I thought to myself, well, you can't go door to door in America. That's like, I mean, that was true back in, we fought a revolution in some ways in 1776 over this. What has to be done to bring this entire agency that's only been around for 23 years, back onto constitutional footing?
Well, Congress does have the power of the purse. And the vote today on the War Powers Resolution indicates to me that maybe, and you and I have discussed it before, Republicans are growing a backbone. But more importantly, we need to elevate and highlight what's actually happening. That's why the investigation that I am conducting as ranking member of the Permanent Subcommittee on Investigations, I think is important because it documents with additional videos. The one that you just showed is only the latest example that I think will be powerful with the American people.
One of the issues here, too, is a credibility issue. I did not read the statement the Department of Homeland Security put out today about the shooting in Portland. And again, we're waiting for details because it included a set of allegations about the individuals who were shot that, frankly, I just don't think I could responsibly share. And I say that, because I just have seen too many times them say things, particularly in the aftermath of an incident, that have proven to be false. Is that an overreaction on my part, or in your investigation, have you found this same crazy gap between what they say after an incident and what turns out to be true?
There is that gap, and it is wider now than ever before, and it's part of their MO. In almost every one of these 22 separate instances that we documented, we found that the reaction of ICE was, in fact, to try to discourage people from doing videos. In fact, they attacked them physically. They denied that anything wrong was done. They alleged there were injuries to the ICE agents. It is a pattern.
Or were assaulted, right?
Exactly.
Senator Chris Murphy, I've been reading this tweet where he said it's crazy for us to vote to fund DHS unless we get some restraints. There's also news today that he will propose sweeping reforms, including requiring a warrant for arrests, banning mass during enforcement operations, requiring Border Patrol to remain at the border after an ICE officer killed a woman in Minneapolis this week. Are you open to those ideas from your fellow Connecticut Democrats?
I am not only open to them, but I would support many of them. For example, masked agents, unidentified on their uniforms, in unmarked cars. And think of how that 37-year-old mom of 3 children reacted to that collection of ICE agents coming to the door of her car. That kind of intimidation and the need for legal restraint ought to be part of our exercise of appropriation of power. As I indicated before, we have the power of the purse.
Yep. Senator Richard Blumenthal, thank you for joining us here.
Thank you.
All right, y'all. So that was some reports on what was happening at some high schools, or a specific high school with teenagers, basically. Teenagers, your babies, your children. It could be your babies. It could be your children that these things are happening to at their high school. So I just feel like when we see reports like this, we should have empathy and understanding and be equally outraged when we see these things that are happening, because we never know when we'll be met with it at our doorstep, in our city, in our town, at the schools where our children are going to. Our kids could be calling us saying that these are the experiences that they're having at their schools. We need to see that this is serious. And these groups of people are moving around and doing just whatever it is that they want to do and wreaking havoc over not just towns and communities, but now they're going to schools. I'm pretty sure they'll be going to churches and everything else. We'll see that as well. But I do have one final video that I want to show you guys. And after this, we are going to end the live. I'm trying to keep it at the 2-hour mark. But of course, this is from no one other than Midas Touch. And I like watching Midas Touch Network with Ben Masalas. But yeah, the GOP basically hearing backfires because Democrats are speaking up and they're speaking out, okay? And it is great that they're doing that. I think, you know, they need to get a little bit more powerful, but that's just, you know, my personal opinion. The ones that are doing what they can are, and I think the rest of them are starting to step up now. So we're going to go ahead and get into this video, y'all. This is the last one of the live. Let's go ahead and play some of this report from Ben. And then we will get up out of here. I will end it for you guys. I don't want to hold y'all too long. Okay, so GOP hearing backfires as Democrats take it over. Let's get into it.
Tables turned on them at the hearings that are taking place on Capitol Hill. Democrats aggressively going on the offense, appealing to the truth, appealing to humanity, appealing to the true values of our Constitution against Trump and his ICE Gestapo and his MAGA sycophants and stooges. Let me show you what went down when Democrats turned this hearing by MAGA Republicans, where MAGA Republicans were trying to spread their propaganda. Democrats turned the tables and basically turned this into a pro-democracy hearing. Let me show you what went down when Democratic Congresswoman Jasmine Crockett was her time to speak. Watch what goes down here. Play this clip.
It is so hard to sit here sometimes because I didn't come to Congress to write laws or to do things that are hurting people. I'm just asking if there's any decency or heart or courage on that side of the aisle. The fact that a woman was killed, she was shot in her head, and y'all are pretending like nothing happened. I remember when Charlie Kirk got killed. Do you remember what our response was? Our response wasn't to sit there and pretend like it was okay. Is it okay because you have a badge? Because the last time I checked, allegedly no one is above the law. Can y'all not just have a little bit of courage and humanity? A child. A child has lost her mom. And y'all want to pretend that it is okay. I am asking if there is anyone that will stand for the very people that elected us and sent us to Congress. You tell us things like, well, the immigrants are bad. And so we got to get all these bills because the immigrants are the ones that are causing the harm. They're bringing the crime. The mayor of Minneapolis told y'all to get the fuck out. Yet y'all are the ones, it is this administration that is bringing crime to their streets. That's what's happening.
It's the third incident where somebody has dropped an F-bomb in this committee, including the video.
I'm sorry.
Including the
Are
video
your
that we had to watch earlier.
Are your princess ears okay?
Is it profanity?
The princess ears
House of Representatives.
The committee. You are about the fact that a woman.
Are you
The House
soft?
of Representatives.
The gentlelady.
Are we offending your princess ears? Are they that soft?
All members will.
Maybe some of the kids out there.
Mr. Chairman, it is the gentlelady.
You're killing them.
Then you have Democratic Congress member Jared Moskowitz. Here's what he says about Kristi Noem as he holds up a photo of her as she plays cosplay, puts on her outfits while spewing the venomous, vile regime propaganda. Play this clip.
This is the person. This is the person who, within minutes of the shooting, went on TV and called it domestic terrorism. What is she hiding her face like her ICE agents now? She can't show her face either. By the way, is this what the $800 billion went to? Every day we see her after there's some new tragedy in Homeland, she's wearing a different outfit with a different hat. I mean, come on, guys, she looks ridiculous. She's not just an embarrassment to the country. She's an embarrassment to you and the president. Okay, she deserves to be removed from her job by the president, and if not impeached, not just for her complete failures in Homeland, but her destruction of FEMA. She's not even running the department. You guys know this. You guys know she's not running Homeland. Your governors and you all, when you need your FEMA money, you don't call Noem, you call Corey. You know she's not running the place. She's a complete and utter embarrassment. By the way, every Homeland Secretary has come in front of this committee once a Congress. I'd like to know the date she's coming. When is she coming?
When is she coming?
When is she coming? By the way, do you know Pam Bondi has not come in front of this committee? Do you know she's the only secretary to not appear in front of a committee yet? When is she coming? What's the date on the calendar that she's coming? You know what? Let's make it easy. I want to make a motion to subpoena Pam Bondi.
Second.
To this committee.
Third, fourth, fifth.
How much are we going to?
The gentleman is not recognized for that motion. However, the chair will advise as to the attorney general coming for, as they do routinely.
Mr. Chairman, thank you. But where is the attorney general, the only secretary to not appear, okay, in front of a committee? The only one. We're into year 2 of this Congress, and we've not had the attorney general in front of this committee. How much are we going to weaken Article 1 of the Constitution while you guys remain in power? I watch you twist yourself into pretzels trying to defend this, running away from previous statements, disagreeing with yourself, trying to defend the crap that's happening.
More from Congressmember Moskowitz right here. Let's play it.
I want to follow up on my colleague from Colorado who was following up on my question. You were in here for about 10 minutes, and I tried to subpoena Pam Bondi because she hasn't appeared in front of this committee. She's the only one in the cabinet who has not appeared in the House yet. And so I was told that's out of order. Before the break, you said that she'd be coming in January at a previous hearing, and now she's coming in February, which is fine. So I printed out the calendar of February, and I just figured, like, while we're here, we could just get it on our calendar. So
February 11th.
she's coming the 11th.
That's my understanding.
Perfect. Excellent. The 11th. Perfect. So, by the way, since you're on a roll, should I print out the other months so we can know when Noem is coming as well? Because the Homeland Security Secretary has always come at least once in front of Judiciary a term. So she's not going to come in February. I'll print March, April, May, June, July, August, September, October.
And all you want. We'll work on getting the appropriate cabinet officials in front of the committee. We've had director of the FBI. We will have the Attorney General in, 4 weeks. We will do our oversight like we're supposed to do our oversight.
All right. Thank you, Mr. Chair. Appreciate it. I didn't expect to get that answer. I was going to go a lot longer, but you saw the calendar and you just spit out the 11th.
When Mr. Neguse asked earlier, I knew it was early February. I just didn't know which day. We've been negotiating with when we can make it work. Their schedule, our schedule, when we're in hearings, when you're not shutting down the government.
Now I know the key.
Now we know it's 11th.
Now I know the key how to get stuff out of you. I just got to whip out a calendar and all of a sudden.
out a calendar, put a yellow tie on.
Will the gentleman yield?
Then we heard from Democratic Congresswoman Ansari. She gave a powerful speech from the House floor, and she just said it very clearly. Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller rushed to smear a dead woman, a U.S. citizen, and call her a domestic terrorist. And Trump went on his social media platform to spread lies about her. What a despicable regime indeed. Play this clip.
Mr. Speaker, I rise today with outrage and with grief. Yesterday, not even a full week into the new year, ICE murdered a U.S. citizen, Renee Nicole Good, after shooting her multiple times as she was seemingly attempting to drive away, blocking her from medical care and letting her die while a doctor stood by offering to help. The video of this tragedy is damning. I encourage every American to watch it and make their own judgment. A woman is dead, a child has been left without a parent, a community is shattered, and the American people are left once again demanding answers from an agency that has shown time and time again that it operates without accountability. What happened to Renee Good in Minneapolis demands a full, independent, and immediate investigation. I represent Arizona's 3rd congressional district, a diverse and rich community of immigrants. For over a year now, ICE has been terrorizing my constituents. No agency is above the law, yet ICE is now the most well-funded law enforcement agency in the United States, receiving more funding than most militaries around the world, while operating with virtually no meaningful checks and balances. In the immediate aftermath of Renee Good's death, the Trump administration did what it does best. It lied. Kristi Noem and Stephen Miller rushed to smear a dead woman as a, quote, domestic terrorist, while Donald Trump took to Truth Social to gaslight the American people, asking them to deny their own eyes and accept his version of events instead. This is what authoritarianism looks like. This is what happens when the leader of a nation turns a federal agency into his personal paramilitary force against the civilian population of the United States. Donald Trump has weaponized ICE not to keep communities safe, but to terrorize them.
And then we heard from Democratic Congress member Neguse, and, he was saying, look, the Trump regime is now vetoing a clean water bill for the people of Colorado. And the Trump regime every week is taking new retaliatory actions against Colorado. Why? Because Donald Trump wants Colorado to pardon insurrectionists, a convicted felon who tried to help Donald Trump overthrow the 2020 election. So now he rips away clean water funding, child care services, Medicare services, essential services for the people of Colorado. Let's play this clip.
I support this bill for many reasons. I support it for the reasons that were articulated by the sponsor, my colleague from Colorado, Ms. Boebert, by the ranking member, and by the chairman. I think they have ably explained why this water infrastructure project for southeastern Colorado is so critical, a project 60 years in the making. I support it because, as was noted, there are no cogent issues with this bill, as were purportedly articulated in the veto message from President Trump. Far from it. This bill will cost taxpayers virtually nothing, as was referenced, and it makes good on a promise to the people of rural Colorado. I support the bill because I believe that the people of Otero County and Bent County and Crowley County deserve access to clean water, just as every citizen of the great state that I serve and that Ms. Boebert serves, that Mr. Hurd serves, and my other colleagues in the Colorado congressional delegation deserve. I think what's perhaps missing from this debate, and it's important for us to level with the American people, is why are we here? Why why, despite all of the reasons that this bill makes a whole lot of sense, why, despite the fact that this bill passed unanimously in the House and in the Senate, Mr. Speaker, why did the president veto this bill? We are here, unfortunately, profoundly, because the president has declared war on our state. In the last 40 days, he has taken step after step to harm the people that I serve and that I represent. Denying disaster assistance for folks in Rio Blanco County, down south in La Plata County. Freezing childcare assistance, food assistance for hungry families across our state, trying to dismantle a scientific institution in my district. And now, denying access to clean water to 50,000 people in southeastern Colorado. It is unconscionable. And I firmly believe that the House and the Senate, and I'm speaking to my Democratic colleagues, to be clear, that it is important in this moment for members to support this override and ensure that this promise that was made to the people of southeastern Colorado is not impaired, it's not abrogated by the president's retaliation against the state of Colorado. We cannot let that new normal.
Now I want to bring in Democratic Congress member from Illinois, Raja Krishnamurthy. Congress member, it's great to see you. You know, we showed these clips at the beginning of Democrats fighting back. You know, Donald Trump seems to be starting 2026. Ultra-fascism, authoritarianism, cover up the Epstein files, distract, talk about invading Greenland, invading the Western Hemisphere. But, you know, look, Democrats have showed you these clips, you know, are responding to the moment, I think, you know, more forcefully than, you know, in a good way. I mean, what do you make of what's going on right now on the Hill?
Well, 100%. I think that Democrats are doing two things. One, obviously calling out these abuses of power. And certainly what's happened with Venezuela is absolutely outrageous. It is a violation of the War Powers Act. I've actually introduced legislation today with Joaquin Castro to block taxpayer funding of any occupation or running of Venezuela. The second issue, however, is that we also link it back to what's happening at home or what's not happening at home, which is addressing the everyday concerns of working families. I mean, you don't have to look further than the ACA and the tax credits, which expired at year end. And the fact that, you know, basically health insurance premiums are skyrocketing. Prices are out of control already for so many other staples, whether it's childcare, healthcare, or education. But I think that Donald Trump not addressing what Americans want him to address, which is the affordability of living in the United States, and instead engaging in these reckless military adventures abroad, really presents a stark choice for the American people as to what type of governance they want. Donald Trump's governance or ours?
Right. You just think about the past 48 hours. I mean, seeing the hundreds of billions of dollars spent on ICE, Gestapo, terrorizing communities like the ones you represent in Illinois, what we saw happen in Minneapolis, and frankly, in most states across the country. Donald Trump saying $1.5 trillion is what he wants the military budget to be, up from $900 billion, then up from $1 trillion. And it seems that just every social media post, the number gets higher and higher by him. Then you have him saying Greenland, he wants to give an option, either the people of Greenland take a $10,000 or $100,000 buyout, like a shareholder in a hostile stock takeover that I guess taxpayers will fund, or else the military option is on the table. And then Venezuela, $100 billion, it could be maybe even more, to subsidize oil companies to go into Venezuela, and there may need to be troops on the ground, boots on the ground, to provide those oil companies with the assurances, because Trump's propped up an authoritarian. Now, don't get me started on $40 billion in Argentina. Like, what the hell is happening to, like, that's why I think your piece of legislation is so important. And I think Democrats are on the right political side, but more importantly than that, are on the right moral side, because the American people are like, what are you doing?
100%. And my legislation is called the NOVA Act, No Occupation of Venezuela Act. And that's with Joaquin Castro. It's just common sense. And obviously today, the War Powers Act resolution came before the Senate. It actually passed with bipartisan support. I think a similar resolution will come before the House and pass with bipartisan support. Look, I think that it's not just Democrats. It's not just us who are worried about the direction of our country and the way that Donald Trump is ruling our country. It's everybody. And I think that you don't have to be a business that declaring bankruptcy because of the tariff chaos, or a working family that just lost its health insurance because the premium skyrocketed when the ACA tax credits expired. We're talking about everybody feeling the pinch of an economy that's not working for them. And when that happens, I think we all have to unite and make sure that we have a government that's accountable to the people, that's working for working families, that's trying to uplift them economically, and that abides by the rule of law. And that's not too much to ask, Ben.
So if you are between the ages of 50 and 85, and you want to have all of your burial expenses taken care of, listen to this. They don't want you to know about this. There is now an affordable whole life insurance policy that is designed to pay for all of your funeral and final expenses, up to $40,000. So your family is not knocking on doors.
You know, and then the way the Trump regime behaves with all of these things. I mean, when they describe Venezuela as a law enforcement operation, it's like Putin referring to invading Ukraine as their special operation, when immediately after people see the video of what took place in Minneapolis, where Renee Nicole Good is shot in the face, she's murdered by this ICE. We saw what happened, but anyone in a governance position though would say, let an investigation play out, we'll get you all of the facts, we'll be transparent. The Trump regime says that she was a domestic terrorist who used her vehicle as part of an act of terrorism. It's like, what are you we've all seen the video.
What are you talking about? What are you I'm sorry to interrupt. What are you that is complete utter nonsense. It's outrageous, and I'm sorry to be emotional about it, but every time I see that video, it makes me so upset, because here is this woman who probably was very scared and wanted to get out of that situation, and instead an ICE agent stands in front of her windshield and shoots her in the face. And last night, I joined with Ayanna Pressley, who's on the oversight committee with me, in her motion for subpoenaing all documents, videos, footage of that particular shooting, because in part, we don't trust the Trump administration to properly investigate it, Ben. And, I think that when there's no accountability, bad things happen, and bad things are happening now. And what happened yesterday in Minneapolis was just outrageous, appalling, disgraceful, and un-American.
Look, Democrats seem united right now. I mean, coming back and largely united. What are you seeing on the Republican side of things that may not be obvious to an outside observer? Are you seeing things from your vantage point that you think is unique and perhaps different than, let's say, even what was happening in 2025 towards
Yes, I think that more Republicans, at least privately, express grave concerns about, how Donald Trump is running this country. And it materializes into their voting patterns, right? You see this with the Epstein files. You see this with the ACA tax credits, where at least 8 Republicans actually yesterday voted with Democrats with regard to a motion to extend the ACA tax credits by 3 years. And now you're seeing it with Venezuela. Are they publicly saying what they say privately? No, not for the most part. Some are, but most are not. But I think the longer that we go on, I think that people will start expressing their concerns more publicly and voting accordingly. And we Democrats have to take advantage of that, because at the end of the day, we have to make sure that our government, again, is accountable to the people, and that Donald Trump is not allowed to kind of recklessly run this country the way he is right now.
Congressman Christian Morthy, we appreciate you joining us always. Come back, and appreciate everything you're doing there.
Ben, thank you so much. It's an honor.
Everybody hit subscribe. Let's get to 6 million subscribers. Want to stay?
All right, y'all. So we are at the end of the live. That's just a few videos that I wanted to show y'all, a few conversations that were had today. Very pertinent conversations, I think, that were on these lives that we were able to listen to, and we can take information from, and we get to decide how we feel or we think about these things that we see playing out, not just in our government, but worldwide. And so y'all let me know what y'all think. Drop down in the comment box and, tell me what y'all think about all of these things that we've seen here on this live today. My final thoughts, child, y'all don't want to know my final thoughts, but I'll give you some clean ones. I feel as though we're doing the right thing. I think most people that are speaking on and bringing a lot of this stuff to the light are doing their part in the fight. If there's anything else that we can do to get out in the communities and whatnot and fight for what's right, then if you find yourself in a position where that's something you want to do, I think you should do it as well. I like to have these conversations, and I like to be truthful about the things that are happening and going on. I really, really do. And unfortunately, because the way things are set up, we are very limited as to the things we can say and how we say them, and so on and so forth. So you can't keep it all the way 100. You can't be really real. You know what I mean? When it comes to talking about the severity of these situations. But I try to do the best that I can to stay within the legal limits. However, keep it real and passionate for you all. I don't know if y'all feel the same way, but I know I get a lot of, anger and outrage or whatnot when I do see a lot of these stories being presented. So anyway, y'all, I got some other things to do. Let me go ahead and get up out of here. I'm going to end this live per usual with a song, a bop, and I will speak to you guys a little bit later on this evening. I have another live that I'm going to be preparing, of course, yes, with a lot more politics and stuff like that. But anyway, y'all, that's all I got on this one. Thank you for joining me and rocking with me. I will talk to y'all soon, okay? Everybody have a good rest of the day, morning, night, whatever respectful time zone you're in. Have a good rest of it. We love you over here. Thanks for tuning in. Speak to you soon. Bye.
The street is quiet now, but the stones still cry. Underneath just a soul in flight, killed in the morning, gone by the night. The mayor is weeping, the people are screaming, Lord wake us up, 'cause we must be dreaming. Let the candles burn through the smoke and the light. Justice is a heavy word underneath these city skies, city skies. Ooh, only one Lord, one more name for the war, sleeping power. Lord, catch us when we fall. Lord, catch us when we fall. Lord, catch us when we fall. Lord, catch us when we fall.
Yeah. You tuned into the right place. Welcome to the rain. Golden Queen. H2.0. Let's get it. You're looking for a diamond, found a treasure in the rough. Tired of all the noise, 'cause you finally had enough. I'm here to build a movement on a mission for the nation. Dropping gems of knowledge, killing all the hesitation. We fighting for the truth, yeah, we fighting for what's right. Building unity and shining up a brand new light. It's a variety channel, but the vision's crystal clear. Pushing us all forward, conquering the doubt and fear.
Yo, welcome to the Queendom. H2.0 on your screen, with the content's real and smart and funny in between. This is more than just a stream, it's a platform for the change. Time to elevate the game and rearrange. So if you're ready for a vibe that you can feel and trust, joining in the movement is a definite must.
This ain't just another channel talking smack behind the screen. It's a spotlight for the creators, building up of the scene. Spreading radical love, that's the message in the code. Helping everybody carry up a heavy load. From social justice issues to the laughter that we need. Planting seeds of progress, watch them grow from just a seed. This is authentic, this is raw, this is everything you saw. Welcome to the battle that is truly being fought.
Oh, so come with your respect and see the real effect. 'Cause I protect my own right here on the throne. Don't make me unleash the dragon. You've been warned.
Yeah. Don't make me unleash the dragon, you've been warned. Yeah. Don't make me unleash the dragon, you've been warned. Yeah. Yeah. Golden Queen H2.0. The movement starts now. Go ahead. Hit subscribe, ring that notification bell. You don't want to miss a thing. Welcome to the family.